Welcome to Brainish English Stories.
The lawyer said the person might be crazy. How could we understand this weird crime in any other way? One morning, near Chatu, on the grass, they found two bodies. It was a man and a woman. They were famous, had lots of money, not very young, and they got married last year. The lady had been a widow for 3 years before that. No one knew of anyone who wanted to harm them. They weren't robbed. It looked like someone threw them from the road into the river after hitting them with a long iron stick, one after the other. They looked into it but found nothing. They asked the boatman, but they didn't know anything. They were almost giving up when a young carpenter from a nearby village, George Louis, also called the bourgeois, came forward. When they asked him questions, he only said, "I knew the man for 2 years and the woman for 6 months. They often had me fix their old furniture because I'm good at that." And when they asked, "Why did you kill them?" he kept saying, "I killed them because I wanted to kill them." They couldn't learn anything more from him. This man was probably born out of wedlock, raised by someone else, and then left behind. His only name was George Louis. But as he grew up and showed exceptional smarts, along with good manners that his friends didn't have, they called him the bourgeois, and that's what everyone called him. He became really skilled at being a carpenter, the job he chose. People also said he was very into socialist ideas, believed in sharing and getting rid of everything, read scary stories, talked a lot about politics, and was a great speaker at meetings where working people or farmers talked. His lawyer said he might not be right in the head. I mean, how could you believe that this worker would kill his best customers? These were rich and generous people who, in 2 years, let him make 3,000 francs, his record showed it. There was only one explanation: he must be crazy, always thinking about getting back at these rich folks. The lawyer was clever and mentioned the nickname the bourgeois, which people in the area called this poor guy. He said, "Don't you think it's enough to drive this poor guy, who has no parents, crazy? He's a strong believer in the Republican way of doing things. He's even part of the same political group, and this group used to be in trouble with the government, but now they welcome people like him with open arms. In this group, they think setting things on fire is a good idea, and killing people is normal. These dark ideas, which people cheer for at public meetings, have messed up this guy. He's heard Republicans, even women, yes, women, asking for the blood of Mr. Gambetta, the blood of Mr. Greevy. His mind, which wasn't very strong to begin with, couldn't take it. He wanted blood, the blood of rich folks. You shouldn't blame him, gentlemen, you should blame the commune." People all around agreed with what the lawyer said. Everyone thought he did a good job, and even the lawyer for the other side didn't say anything. Then the judge in charge asked the man on trial the usual question. "Prisoner, do you want to say anything to defend yourself?" The man got up. He was short, had blonde hair, and clear gray eyes. His voice, which was strong and honest, surprised everyone because he looked so delicate. When he started talking, he changed everyone's mind about him. He spoke loudly and with a lot of feeling, but you could hear every word he said, even in the back of the big room. "Your Honor, I don't want to be sent to a crazy place, and I'd rather die than go there, so I'll tell you everything. I killed this man and this woman because they were my parents. Now, please listen and then decide. A lady had a baby boy and sent him away to be taken care of by a nurse. She might not have even known where this person took the poor little baby, who was born with the shame of being illegitimate and was left to suffer for it. This nurse, the one who took care of me, was good, better, and more like a mother than my own mother. She raised me. She did the right thing by doing her duty. It's kinder to let these poor kids die instead of throwing them away in the suburbs like trash. I grew up with a feeling that I carried a heavy secret. One day, the other kids called me a bad word. They didn't even know what it meant. One of them heard it at home. I didn't know what it meant either, but it still hurt. I was one of the smartest kids in school. Maybe, if my parents hadn't left me, I could have become a good, maybe even really smart person, Your Honor. They wronged me, not the other way around. I was the victim, and they were the ones who did something wrong. I was helpless, and they were heartless. They should have loved me, but instead, they turned their backs on me. I owed them my life, but is life a gift? For me, it was a curse. After they abandoned me, I only owed them revenge. They did the most inhuman, terrible, and monstrous thing to me that can be done to a person. When someone is insulted, they fight back. When someone is robbed, they take their stuff back by force. When someone is lied to, hurt, or tortured, they may kill. I've been robbed, deceived, tortured, emotionally hurt, and dishonored, much worse than those people you might forgive for being angry. I took my revenge. I killed them. I had every right to do it. I exchanged their happy life for the miserable one they gave me. You might call me a parricide, but were they really my parents? To them, I was a terrible burden, a frightening shame, a disaster they didn't want. They wanted pleasure and got an unexpected child. So, I did to them what they planned to do to me. But even not so long ago, I was willing to love them. Like I said, this man, my father, came to see me for the first time 2 years ago. I had no idea. He ordered some furniture from me. I found out later that he talked to the priest in secret to learn about me. He kept coming back, gave me a lot of work, and paid me well. Sometimes he even talked to me about things. I started to care about him. At the beginning of this year, he brought his wife, my mother, with him. When she came in, she was shaking so much that I thought she had a nervous problem. She asked for a chair and some water. She didn't say much, just looked at my work absent-mindedly and answered yes or no randomly to his questions. After she left, I thought something was wrong with her. The next month, they came back. She was calm and composed. That day, they chatted for a long time and gave me a big order. I saw her a few more times without any suspicion. But one day, she started talking to me about my life, my childhood, and my parents. I told her, "Madam, my parents were awful. They abandoned me." That's when she clutched her chest and fainted. I immediately thought, she's my mother, but I didn't want her to know that I knew. I wanted to watch her. I, too, started looking for information about them. I found out they got married just last July, and my mother had been a widow for only 3 years. There were rumors that they might have loved each other when her first husband was alive, but there was no proof. I was the proof they had tried to hide and hoped would disappear. I waited. One evening, she came with my father like usual. That day, she seemed really moved, but I didn't know why. When she was leaving, she told me, "I want you to succeed. You seem like an honest, hard-working young man. Someday, you'll probably think about getting married. I came to help you choose a good wife. I was married against my will once, and I know how much it hurts. Now I'm rich, have no children, and I'm in charge of my own money. Here's your dowry." She handed me a big, sealed envelope. I looked her in the eyes and asked, "Are you my mother?" She stepped back and covered her face with her hands, so she wouldn't have to see me. He, the man who was my father, held her and said to me, "You must be crazy." I said, "Not at all. I know you're my parents. You can't fool me. If you admit it, I'll keep your secret. I won't hold a grudge, and I'll continue to be a carpenter." He backed up toward the door, still holding his wife, who was starting to cry. I quickly locked the door, put the key in my pocket, and said, "Look at her. Go ahead, deny that she's my mother." Then he got really mad, turned pale, and was scared that the secret, which they had been keeping so far, might come out and ruin their reputation, their good name, and their honor all at once. He mumbled, "You're a troublemaker. You want to extort money from us. That's what we get for trying to help people like you." My mother, looking lost, just kept saying, "Let's go, let's go." Then, when he realized the door was locked, he yelled, "If you don't open this door right now, I'll have you put in jail for trying to get money from us and attacking us." I stayed calm, opened the door, and watched them disappear into the darkness. It felt like I had suddenly become an orphan, abandoned, pushed to the edge. I was overwhelmed with sadness, mixed with anger, hatred, and disgust. My whole being rebelled against the unfairness, the nastiness, the disgrace, and the love they had rejected. I started running to catch up with them along the Seine, which they had to follow to reach the Chaton station. I caught up to them pretty quickly. It was really dark by now. I was walking quietly behind them so they wouldn't hear me. My mother was still crying, and my father was saying, "This is all your fault. Why did you want to see him?" It was foolish, considering our situation. We could have helped him from a distance without showing ourselves. What's the point of these risky visits if we can't even recognize him? Then, I rushed up to them, pleading. I said, "See, you are my parents. You already rejected me once. Would you do it again?" "Your Honor," he hit me. "I swear on my honor, before the law and my country," he hit me. When I grabbed his collar, he took out a gun from his pocket. I got really mad, lost control, and I had my compass in my pocket. I hit him with it as many times as I could. Then she started yelling, "Help! Murder," and grabbed my beard. It seems I may have hurt her too. I don't really know what I did after that. But when I saw both of them on the ground, I just tossed them into the Seine. That's it. Now, you can pass the judgment. The prisoners sat down. After hearing this story, the case was adjourned to the next session. It's coming up soon. If we were the jurors, what would we do with this parricide?